Hey guys, it's Matthew Greenwood with Fireside Chat again, and we're coming to you live on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys Facebook and My Time TV Live. So, another night, we're going to be talking about shamanism tonight. I have talked about shamanism probably on and off over the last year and a half, but I wanted to focus on it a bit tonight. Hello Trina, how are you? Just to think about before we get into this, it would be great if you know anyone that would be interested in tonight's subject. Please let them know and put them on to listening in tonight. They could be a winner for a free spirit guide reading. So we actually have a winner from last week, and it is Alicia Nelson. Hi, Alicia. We're going to get that to you, that you're going to be getting a spirit guide reading, and if you can ring me and we can arrange a time that we can do it. So now also, what is great is with tonight's subject in particular, lots of questions. If you've got questions, then throw them at me, because that's what helps you to get connected to getting that grounding exercise. And we've got a whole lot of information that'll be coming through too, that you'll be able to tap into about workshops that are coming up, and I'll go through that later on. So here we go. As normal, when we begin, we start off with a grounding exercise, and the reason we do that, I say this so much now, reason we do that is to learn how to be more grounded. Just only because I'm not saying that you guys aren't capable of grounding yourself, but far from it. The thing is, nowadays, there's so much going on that can literally unground us, from human consciousness stuff to the Schumann resonance of the earth, or the earth frequency is up and down and spiking all over the place. There's a lot of solar activity that's eased off a little bit, but there's also raising in frequency going on, and the moon cycles. All of that's far stronger than it ever used to be, and this all goes ahead it shakes up our energy a bit. So as soon as our energy gets shaken up, then we lose our grounding. So this little exercise should only take you a couple of minutes when you're doing it, when you've done it a few times. I always recommend that you do it at least twice a day. It only needs to go for 2 minutes. So everyone's got 2 minutes twice a day. All right, say a few hellos. Hey, Kathy, and we've got Ann Doyle. Hey, Ann. Lily. G'day, Lily. Alison Barford. We've got Sally and Tracy, Karen, and Troy. Hey, Troy. I don't think I've seen your name before. And Edith Watterson. We've got Jasmine and Shayna. We've got Paul. Hey, Paul. Sharon Easley. Sarah Hughes. Hey, Sarah. From all the way over in New Zealand. And Melissa. And that's great. So here we go. Oh, and there's a few latecomers. Anna Quinn. Hi there, Anna. All right, let's do this grounding exercise. And Melissa and Leah. Hey, guys. So we're going to do a grounding exercise now. I'll say more hellos after that. So just to start with, just getting yourself nice and comfortable. And close your eyes and just begin to use your breath in a much deeper way. So pulling in nice, clean life force with every breath, because that's what happens when you take a conscious breath. This is part of many spiritual practices. Deeper breathing, more conscious breathing is a large part of any spiritual practice. So each breath you take in, pulling in that life force, each breath out is literally allowing that life force to fill up your space. But we're not going to just do that. We want to do something a little bit more constructive. So once your space is full of that energy, which, it's getting that nice clean energy in is a literally a practice that needs to be done every day, like I said. Okay, so with the next breath in, pulling that life force in, with the breath out, I'd like you to visualize pushing that life force down through your body, down through your base chakra, your legs and feet, and then down into the earth. And so with your breathing and your visualization, just continue to do that until you feel some sort of effervescence or tingling moving down through your feet. That's an indicator that you've got life force flowing down through there. So just keeping that same breathing technique going, breathing in that nice clean energy, and then with the breath out, literally you're the driver. So you're driving that energy you've been breathing in down through your body, base chakra, legs, feet, and down into the earth. Beautiful. Okay, so we can go a lot deeper. We have a string of chakras down below our feet, and it literally, our energy system extends right down to the core of the earth. So we're going to go right down to the core of the earth to what's called your earth chakra next. So taking another nice deep breath in, pulling that life force in. With the breath out this time, I want you to drive that energy right down to the core of the earth, to your earth chakra, and just keep that same visualization going. And this helps you to integrate at into a much deeper part of the earth. It goes beyond this as well into other dimensional planes, but this is, for now, this is a very valid thing to be doing, because it's slipping in. It's a combination of 3-dimensional, 4, 5-dimensional energy that you're tapping into. Beautiful. Just keep that going. Same technique. All right. So now that you've got that, what I'd like you to do is just relax your breath. You don't have to push that anymore. It's just flowing naturally. So just let it do that. Just know that it's running beautifully all by itself. Once you've given some instruction, some intention, energy flows where you want it to, and you don't have to keep on it all the time. Okay, so we're going to go into a deeper part of our energy system, which is a much higher frequency aspect of our energy system, and it's deep within us, beyond 3-dimensional reality, deep into our multi-dimensional energy system within. So if you can, bring your awareness to where you feel and see the center of your physical body is. So once you can bring your awareness to that point, knowing that we are far more than physical, very much like any of you who, I think it's been going for the last 40 years, I think. So Doctor Who and the TARDIS. So the TARDIS is very much like us. It's small on the outside, but huge on the inside. So as you feel internally, what I'd like you to do is dive beyond 3-dimensional reality and just dive into the universe that is inside of you. It's huge. Hey, Nicole, and hey, Julie. So keep traveling deeper and deeper and deeper into that internal universe until you see, feel, or sense a high vibrational energy source. What this energy source is, it's commonly called your core star energy. I suppose that's a technical name for it, but literally what it is the God force within you. Whatever your belief system is on God, Great Spirit, the universe, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. So as you tap into that energy, into that core star energy, What I'd like you to do, again, you're in the driver's seat, so I'd like you to expand that out. Just keep expanding that out. Imagine that energy from deep inside you rushing out in all directions and then coming up through from internally into the physical plane within the physical body. So imagine that high vibrational energy that you've just tapped into filling your physical body and activating every cell in your body. Imagine every cell in your body buzzing at a higher frequency. What this does within your energy system, it literally overrides low vibrational energy coming into your space when you've got this running all the time. And it's very easy to do, like I said, a couple of times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, depending on what's going on around you. So keep holding that space. What we're going to do now is expand it beyond your physical body into an area about 3 to 4 meters out in all directions. This is expanding out into your 9th energy body, which the 8th and the 9th is like the bridge between Earth consciousness and galactic consciousness. And I must do another talk on this one because there's more coming, more energy opening up in these areas. So it's pretty exciting. Okay, so now from that 3 to 4 meter area around you in all directions, on the count of 3, I want you to just let it explode. So when you're ready, 1, 2, 3, and just let it go. Imagine it expanding out limitlessly. No boundaries. That is really cool. I say this I think every time we do this, but I feel this. I feel all of you guys doing this. I can feel that energy because I'm keyed into you guys. And that's vice versa. Called community consciousness. Because we're all working together. We're all on the same page. And this is how I can see energy, see auras, see guides online. Doesn't matter where you are and where they are. That's cool. Now, what you don't have to do, you do not have to pull that light in. The whole idea of this expansiveness and this feeling of expansiveness and high vibrational energy is to keep it up, keep it expansive. What that does, it has a tendency to protect your energy. It also has a tendency to bring any of your low vibrational energy up to the surface so that you can clear it out, which is a great thing to do. That allows your abilities to get stronger. Very cool, guys. Last thing, we'll finish off with what we started. So we started with breathing and grounding down through your body and base chakra. Let's do the same. So just, again, tapping into that nice clean energy all around you, breathing that in, and then with the breath out, pushing that high energy that's all around you, pushing it down through your body, your base chakra, legs and feet, and then down into the earth. Beautiful. Everyone should be back. All right, guys. So give you a couple of seconds. And look, it just so happens we've got a shamanism workshop, pardon me, coming up on Saturday and Sunday. So I thought, seeing, it's very close, I thought I'd throw this one in, this talk, just because a lot of people, shamanism, the word shamanism gets bandied around a bit, and I don't think a lot of people 100% know what it's about. Look, I'm not saying I know everything, but I've spent time with the Lakota culture, um, and living with a First Nation people, um, and all First Nation cultures have shamanism as the central core to a way of living. It's something that a lot of Westerners have lost, and so that's why I wanted to talk about this tonight. It's not like a weekend workshop. A weekend workshop is something that will help you to get there, but that's not what it's all about. And it's not just about techniques. It's actually a way of life. So it's actually quite important stuff, and it can help you in so many ways. So, and hi, Ariel Jones, how you going? So, just to start with, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an insight into, say, let's go back about 200 to 300 years ago, and let's just use a Native American village, and how a shaman would begin his or her journey. Hey, Roz. Yeah, how a shaman would begin the journey would be from a child. So whoever the shaman, medicine man or medicine woman is for the village, they would probably know, they're getting maybe in their 50s, and they have to start thinking about who's going to take over from them when they pass away. And so they'd have to train someone up, which is a really important thing to do. And so Adair's just said, so someone in my background just said, if you want to get the ultimate grounding exercise, sorry to break up the conversation then, if you want to get the grounding exercise, there's something you can tap into right now on the Facebook site. So I'll let you guys go for it. Hey, Paulette. Hey, Alison. How you going, Alison? Yeah, so yeah, with when a medicine man or woman gets to that point, gets to that time, they need to train someone up. So what they would be doing is they would be very aware of any children that are born, and also what can happen is their ancestors, the ancestors in spirit, can also give them a nudge and say, well, a couple over there are going to be having a child soon, and that child's going to be very special. So they would be very conscious and aware of this, because it's what they do. It's awareness is the source of shamanism, really. It's the basis of shamanism. And so training would start from an early age, as soon as it's appropriate for that child to spend time with the medicine man or medicine woman. The training would begin then, and it would be light and a bit more fun, and then we'll get into serious stuff as the child gets older. And so really, it's about understanding everything. That child that comes in would still come in with his or her own lessons, which is the human aspect. But then what happens is that gift that they have and is being nurtured within them, they're getting like quantum leaps in awareness because of that help from an older medicine man or woman. So what happens nowadays, here we are, current time, we're not generally brought up. It's a very unique situation if you're brought up in a family unit where you're doing ceremony and ritual on a daily basis. So there's a lot of, let's say, patterns that have to be unlearnt and released, and then retraining begins. So some of these old patterns stem from energy games that we're taught to play, which are ways of actually taking life force from other people. It's a very unhealthy way to live, but we're all taught how to do this. It's part of the human process now. Without ritual, if you don't have rituals and you don't have something that grounds you and connects you to the Earth's energy system, and you're not doing things, rituals and ceremonies to actually connect you to higher energy source, then we all need life force to survive. So what happens is we're taught an unhealthy way, which is to take energy from people. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you know, this person's an energy vampire and that person's an energy vampire. You really have to look a lot closer at yourself with this. You know, I've been there. Everyone's been there, and this really helps to fine tune just the way you're processing energy. And this is kind of the foundation of shamanism, is to clean up your act. You know, because that child was getting taught from maybe 2 years old and onward. And we might come into shamanism anywhere from mid-20s through to 40 or even 50. I've taught people how to step into this world. And so there's a lot of things that you have to unlearn. And the other thing is, and this is, it might seem like a little thing to a lot of people, but it's actually quite amazing. And I've been seeing the depth of just how this can affect your abilities, your awareness levels, and that is gratitude and prayer. So what I mean by that, prayer, you know, a lot of people get thingy about that word. It's really about just a connection to the ancestors, to Great Spirit, to Mother Earth, to Father Sky, to the animal spirits, bird, insect spirits, the water spirits, the elements, the trees. You know, you can go on and on, because there is a lot. There's your guides. There's you sometimes have spirit helpers that are there, and when you're learning shamanism, you're learning how to have a connection with all of those different levels of reality. And of course, we can't forget other different types of beings that exist too. So galactic beings, they're the ancestors, the old ones, the medicine people, were in contact with extraterrestrial beings. It's in so many cave paintings, and so many of those cave paintings look very similar, and they might be in Africa, in Australia, or in the US, or even South America. So, I mean, there's been Siberian shamans, the caves in the mountains. You know, there's cave paintings in there too. So, and they all have similarities. And this steps back into galactic beings. And if we have time, I'll talk more about the connection between galactic beings and the native cultures. We'll see how we go. And so the gratitude and prayer, what I've learnt to understand over the years is that when you have gratitude, when you're making an acknowledgement to all of those levels of spirituality, what you're doing, it's not just words you're saying, you're literally spreading your energy out into those different levels of spiritual energy, different frequencies, different vibrations. You're spreading your energy out there, and that's a form of communication. Now, when you do that all the time, when you're acknowledging all of these beings all the time, what happens is you're literally opening up a line of communication to them, and so they communicate back. You know, in the shamanism courses, I teach people how to talk to all kinds of beings, from fairy energies to trees to medicine plants. And also, we in level 2, I take them out into nature. There's a property up in Mount Crawford Forest that's very, very clean, very pristine. And I get them to go out and find a medicine plant. I don't tell them what it looks like or where it is. That focus is in their thoughts, the intention is set, and so the medicine plant will basically draw them in. Now, I can pretty much guarantee that they're going to come back with similar sorts of plants because they're all tuning into the same thing. So I'm just going to say a quick hello to, hey, Kiri Buckmaster, Sunshine Melanie, that's a nice name, and Sidiris, interesting name too. Good to have you guys on board. So you can pretty much say that shamanism is the underlying belief system within all native cultures. It's what is the grounding force. Not everyone, it's a bit of a misconception that every native person is super spiritual. They generally are quite spiritual, some definitely more than others, but it's like white people, Westerners. Some people are just very, they just go about their work and they don't really do anything outwardly, and they don't come across as being super spiritual. Some people are, and when you think about again, let's go back 300 years ago. If you're in a village, generally there would only be one or two medicine people. There may be a medicine man and a medicine woman. If you're lucky, there may only be one. So they have to be very well-rounded and have a very keen awareness of lots of things, including medicine plants, how to make medicines, the spirit world, the different ceremonies that the tribe has, and it's a huge thing to be a medicine person in a village, because you're called upon to do many things. And I was thinking about it today, and so what would a shaman be asked to do for a tribe, a community, or for individuals? There'd certainly be ceremonies at regular times through the year. I just see Alicia. So great, Alicia. I'm glad you got the message. We'll catch up through the week, or maybe in the next couple of days. So yeah, you'd quite often be performing marriage ceremonies, funeral ceremonies. There's always ceremonies when there's a birth. You are generally there overall to be a mediator between this world and all of these other spiritual realities that exist. But also you can be called upon to be a mediator between people. Sometimes, just like with any culture or community, there are people that disagree with each other. And so that's where, again, a balanced person will come in to help. But there's an old saying that balance starts from within. So the whole process of understanding about life, about having a connection to all of these different realities, to be able to do that and achieve that role, you have to have a lot of balance within yourself. And this comes from a lot of hard work. And quite often, because I understand this for myself, you find that your sensitivity, when this is your focus in life, because this is my life, has been for 30 years. And what I've found is, over the 30 years that I've been doing this, my awareness levels, because this is what I do, like I said, for life, my awareness levels have risen over the years and are still rising. And I have to take care. I have to nurture those abilities. And what I find is that there are definitely times when I need to have time to myself. And quite often you would find in a village situation, the medicine man or woman wouldn't be right in the middle of the village. They'd be on the outskirts, so that people gave them a little bit of space, so that, they weren't being hounded by people. So just saying hello to Fiona Partridge. Hey, Fiona. And Karen. So Karen's got a question, I think. Looking forward to Shamanism 2. Feels like a long time ago I did one. We don't need to be a practitioner to do these series of workshops. It can be for our own personal growth. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Because I know a lot of people that love working with herbs and maybe make a few herbal remedies up for the family. But they want to have that ability to connect with the plant kingdom. So yeah, it's a perfect situation to be using it, and for your finding your own peace. And you may want to write a book about plant medicines, and so or about something else, but you need that connection. So um, yeah, it can be for all kinds of reasons that you connect with this. So I hope that answers. Now I'm just going to go back up to, there's a question. Okay, so hi Kiri. Wanting to connect better with my guides, is there a way to make that connection stronger? Yes, there is. Great question, because this is the one I probably get confronted with the most. But not just guides, but the spirit world, and also in seeing energy. We've all, anyone that's sensitive has the ability to do that, and it's just a matter of knowing how to. The problem really begins in childhood, generally. So what happens is, you're born. There are definitely, when a sensitive child is born, they are definitely different to the average child. And what happens is parents sometimes don't know how to handle a sensitive child, because if a child is seeing auras and seeing spirits and guides and all kinds of things, and the parent doesn't understand, can't relate to it, thinks the child is in imaginary land, then they will eventually, the parent, with the safety and the care of the child in mind, will tend to get them to squash that and not say that stuff so much, because the parent is concerned that if they say that stuff in public, they're going to look like they're a crazy person. So generally, parents will squash that stuff. And this is where the problems lie with opening up your sensitivity as you're getting older, because it gets reinforced with time. And so then all of a sudden, at the age of, whatever it is, anywhere 30 to 40 or 50, you want to open up your awareness to hearing guides and seeing energy. The mind has learnt to control things. So the thing that a person is always up against is the mind, how powerful the mind has got. Because the mind is, when if you've been shut down in any way, that means your heart has been shut down to a degree. Now, the heart and the mind should work together in harmony, but what happens is, if the heart's been shut down, then the head tends to be more in control. And so as soon as any new experiences start, like hearing guides or seeing energy, the head has no relation to that, and it will always question the living bejeebus out of whatever you're seeing, hearing, or feeling. So there are ways that I help people to get through that, and it's not, it's not a thing that takes years to do. It gets done quite quickly once you know how to. So I can take people through a process where they basically untrain the mind to not be in control. So really, you're retraining the mind to chill out more and let the heart come in. And this is what needs to be done. But it can take just a little bit of shaking up the system a little bit to see what it is that's actually making the mind be in more control. And quite often it's because of trauma that's happened when you're young, but it doesn't take much to work through it. It's not as big as it sounds, but it is big when you actually can work through this stuff, and the communication then with your guides opens right up, and your ability to see them too. So just please ring, and I can, we can book in and I can sort of tell you roughly how many lessons. What I tend to do is with the shamanism with my shamanism work, I do a bit of mentoring with people or practitioners if they want to open up more, and yeah, look, we can do things. If you want to really develop a particular part of you, I'll push you for about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks with booking in for 3 sessions, and then I give you those sessions a bit cheaper. The sessions are a bit longer than normal, and I give them to you at the same price that they originally are. So we do, instead of 1.5 hour sessions, we do 2 hour sessions at the price of an hour and a half. And I give you homework in between. So I'm pushing basically all the time to make sure you're on track, and you're opening up. So we've got a shamanism course on. I just saw your message there, Fiona. I don't know where you are, Fiona, but I've got a shamanism course on this weekend, level 1. So yeah, if you want to, there's a link there just to see what it's about, or you can give me a ring tomorrow, and I can tell you all about it. And I can, for people that aren't in Adelaide, I can do level 1 online. I've managed to be able to do the majority of level 1 online. So, but then I've had people that have come, even if it's from interstate. I've had people from Perth come over here, and Victoria and Queensland have come down for level 2, because I can't. That's not something I can do online, because it's we go into the forest and we do ceremony, and we work with drums and everything. So. Yeah, so getting back to what other things a medicine man or woman would do, a shaman. And I should say too that I've been a part of the death process for some people. I've been called upon to do that. I've been called upon to. I've done this once now, in conjunction with someone who has all the professional tickets to do this, but I've done a marriage as well, not that long ago. Actually, it was a really good experience. So again, mediated between people, but also what medicine people and sensitive people that really work on their abilities, what they have the capability to do is to see the truth in people. If you can see energy, you can see when someone's telling a lie. And it does, it's interesting when people know that you can see energy. And sometimes I will say this if I know what the person's about, and you find that they really pick their words. But being able to, sometimes we tell lies and we don't realize we're telling lies, because we can sometimes create a story in our mind and we believe it. We begin to believe it over time. But that story was there to protect us. It's from somewhere in our youth about a certain way we were treated, maybe. So the mind is a funny thing. It will do things to protect you, but in the end, it can actually trip you up too as you get older, because the stories that you create and become so real can actually be detrimental to you moving forward. It keeps you kind of stuck back in the past. So learning how to break this stuff down is a really important part of opening your abilities up. And so I've gone through a lot of this stuff myself, and I continue to, because I connect with galactic beings now, and it's no biggie, really. It just happens. But having that open awareness and ability to listen to guides, it's really not that much different to listening to any sort of being. And so, but yeah, when there would be meetings, say between tribes or between white people and the tribe, a medicine man would always be there, and it would be something that he's like he would be the one checking out if they're lying or if they're telling the truth. He'd be able to feel it, and so having these abilities they come in many forms, but they're also used for many different aspects of village life and living. So there's another aspect which I've been called into on a few occasions. So I not only do house clearings where there can be all kinds of things. There can be really screwed up ley lines, which are earth line energy lines across the earth, and they can be screwed up because of electrical transformers that are, say, in a new subdivision, and that can have a huge effect on the people living in that subdivision. And I can remember doing this at Woodside, actually, not far from me. I ended up doing about four or five house clearings, and it was all in the same area, where there was literally a transformer that was right in the line of a ley line, and it was messing up the energy. But there are ways to actually clean it up. It's the use of crystals and energy to basically bring a balance back to that ley line in that area of their house anyway, the person who's getting the help. It does have a radiative effect on other houses as well. So they're the lucky ones. The other thing is, and this is I've been called in to do as well. So I've worked with quite a few people that have been wanting to set up communities, and when you're looking for a community, there is certain land that is more appropriate for people living there than other land can be. So what I found is that certain land can go right back through to Aboriginal times, even before Aboriginal times. That is particularly land that is 100% ideal for community. There can be other land that is not meant to have community on there. It can be ceremonial land, so it's only meant for certain things. So when you're actually looking to find the perfect house or the perfect land for a community of people, then it's really necessary to start delving into the spiritual energy of the land. And also there can be beings that are grounded in that particular type of land as well, which almost attract you in. So you guys, if you've got any questions, please throw them at me, because we're talking about a lot of different stuff here. So if you've got any questions, yeah, I'll be happy to answer them. I know we've got about 15 minutes left yet. So so the other things that the medicine man would be asked to do is to ask the ancestors and the spirits, when to go into battle or when to go on a hunt for buffalo. Also the medicine man would have a connection to the weather patterns and to nature, and to be able to preempt when there's a storm coming. He'd just be able to feel it, or she would be able to feel it. And but they'd also teach their medicine ways to other people in the tribe that maybe wanted to have more information. So long and the short of shamanism is, it really is a life process to keep engaging, to keep on top of your emotional baggage, to always be doing whatever you need to be doing. So clean living, eating the right foods, having your spiritual rituals that help you to stay in balance. These are all things that are needed if you're taking on a role like this. Hi, Melissa. Do you have any tips to overcome avoiding committing to daily practices to keep present and grounded? I find I frequently fall into avoidance, even though I know it's super beneficial for me. Look, sometimes it's not just about doing the rituals. I was just saying just then, when I saw your question, there's four major aspects to us. There's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. When you're starting to open up spiritually and you're wanting to bring in daily rituals, it's a great thing to be able to shake up those other parts of you too. So being more focused on eating better foods, maybe more focused on dropping the level of stress. Stress is probably one of the biggest killers of doing rituals, because we can easily say, oh, I don't have time for that. I just don't have the time. Believe me, you've got time for 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes some point through the day, and 2 minutes sometime when you get home. And a great way that I help people to remember how to do this stuff is to get a great big whiteboard and put it in the house and write up what practices you want to actually do, and that is there to remind you of the things that will help you to hold that space. So de-stressing your life, that's a huge thing. Eating the right foods, that's going to make your body feel a lot better and more comfortable. When you're not eating the right foods, your body stresses and muscles get tight. It's all of that sort of stuff. It's really important to be finding balance on all levels. One level isn't enough. We're a multifaceted being, so we need to be sort of looking at all of those things. Hope that answers, Melissa. Shana, good question. Look, I get asked this question a lot. Ayahuasca, plant medicine. Look, there's a few different types of plant medicines. Peyote is another one. It's a cactus. South Americans have a frog. They actually get the medicine man will take a poison. There are poison sacs in the frog, and they consume that poison. So it's a bit dicey, but you have to know how much to actually get the person to ingest. But all of these things they're not miracle workers. They're not it and a bit. You have to do the hard work as well. So cleaning up your life, emotionally, mentally, is a really important part of this. Ayahuasca on its own isn't going to do it. If you go back into the native cultures, peyote and ayahuasca is not something that would be done every year generally. It would be done when it was needed to push through something, but it's gone sort of into that crazy mode really here, because I've heard of people running ayahuasca ceremonies every weekend or every second weekend, and people will come along every second weekend to those ceremonies, and it's just it actually will screw your head up to be doing it. And it's so important that you find balance. That's just going overboard, and it can really mess with your head, particularly if you've been on recreational drugs and you're trying to get off the drugs and you're using ayahuasca to do that. I've actually heard I've had one of my clients ended up going through this, and they're mainly young people that are doing this. But I've heard of numerous cases where people will do ayahuasca and it'll actually put them into psychosis, and they end up in a mental institution for a period of time, and it really, really screws with your head. So if you're going to do ayahuasca, make sure you're doing it with someone that's genuine. And it's a bit hard to find out that for sure unless you ask questions, you know. So really treat it carefully. It's not something to be taken lightly. Hi, Tracy. Would the medicine man get sick, and how would they be healed? Do they have families, children, and do they then become a medicine man? Generally, you may not have heard in the beginning, generally a medicine man or a medicine woman would be taught from a very, very early age. So their training would come from as young as 2 or 3. It would start then. So their awareness levels would be opened up. You know, the medicine person would probably take them for a walk around the village, and they'd be sitting down by a tree, and he'd be just getting them to look at people, and asking the child, what do you notice about that person? And they'd just dissect, you know, what they're feeling. And it's not just about what they're saying, it's what they're feeling. What energy are they feeling behind maybe a discussion that's going on or a disagreement that's going on? And they may subtly observe that couple for a few days. And so it's really important to just observe sometimes. That you can learn so much. When I was going through my training, it was with a Lakota medicine man, and in spirit. Now, he's a guide that I have with me. He was one of my teachers, and he would do exactly the same thing. So my background is furniture making, and there were times in the early days when I was still doing a bit of contract work, and I'd be in a workshop just doing what I was supposed to be doing, and then I'd get a dig in the ribs from this medicine man, and he'd point my energy over to a particular person in the workshop, and he'd say, what do you see in his aura that you don't see in everyone else's? And I'd look at that and dissect it, and you know, I'd never seen anything like that before. And then I'd just feel and talk with him about what I was seeing with this guy that was working there, and it would be interesting. He then asked me, after we kind of dissected this and talked about it a bit, he said, go over to him at the next break, because he was a bit of a loner. He sort of didn't really mix with the other guys too much. He said, go over and just say hello and watch what happens. And so I did, and then all of a sudden, he just, it wasn't straight away, but within a very, very short space of time, he started talking about everything that I'd just seen in his aura. And it's like someone actually paid some interest in him, and he just let down his barrier. And it's amazing just to be able to trust your feelings enough to be able to do that. And really, I didn't do anything. I only observed. I didn't trigger him in any way, but all I did was go over and say hello, and then the rest is what happened. Now, as far as would a medicine man get sick, of course they could get sick, but they would have a plethora of medicines that they would have probably made up and have had made up for other people, but there'd be times when they didn't need them from themselves. But you would find that a medicine man or a medicine woman would probably be a lot healthier than the average person in the village, because of the way they live, because they're looking at their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual energy, and they're focusing on keeping that energy high. So yeah, so I hope that one helps. No problem, Shana. Right, okay, yeah. And so Shana's saying her uncle was trained at 3 years old. that's generally when it starts. So yeah, that's great confirmation. Thank you. Well, I've been fortunate enough to be on the reservation over on Rosebud in South Dakota and talk to the elders over there. And yeah, it's great bouncing things off each other. So Melissa Bonnie, hey Melissa, do our spirit animals change frequently, or do we tend to hold onto the same ones through life? Well, yes and yes. We can hold on to the same ones. But also they can change depending on what's going on in our life. Because generally, you know, all you got to do is pick up a book on medicine animals, and there's quite a lot out there. And each animal has its own energy, its own specific energy that it works with. So when one of those animals is with you, then there's a reason for that. So you obviously need that energy, need a bit of support there, and it's there helping you. But guides do the same thing. You can have guides, so your spirit guides that are with you. One or two can be there for life, but as you grow, and this has happened with me a few times, so when a guide has taught you, because you're actively, consciously interacting with them, you can get to a point where a specific guide has taught you everything that he or she can teach you. So then what will happen is a new guide will come in at a higher frequency, a much stronger one, and will be there to be your teacher for the next few years. And so there can be definite changes there in your energy system when a new guide's coming in, because their energy is much higher than you're normally used to. And so the first thing that generally happens when a new guide, even before that new guide starts engaging with you fully, just when you start to feel their energy, you can feel a bit ungrounded, because they're going to shake your energy up. And really what ends up happening is, for you to work with that new guide, you have to let go of a few things, some baggage that obviously doesn't work for you anymore. It's like when you put new software in a computer. You've got to get rid of old software and old information that's on the computer that doesn't serve you anymore. Otherwise, the computer will just go, will just slow down and won't work. So we're very similar to that. So we need to be cleaning our cache all the time, and letting go of old emotional baggage that can be there, and mental baggage too. And I'm just on the spirit animal thing. One thing I'm going to put a course together. I feel I can do this. It would be very valid to have an animal communication course that I put together, because there's there's a lot of things I do that I just take for granted, that I don't think of teaching. And one thing that has come up on my radar that I need to start looking at teaching is how to communicate with animals, because I've done this with clients. So I've got animal clients, and I've had my own animals and friends' animals, and that I've worked with, anything from a cat, a dog, a horse, and even a alpaca I worked with once too. But cows, goats, they all have consciousness, they all have feelings, and so it's something that I will be doing very soon. I want to put a course together for this year, for maybe the end of the year. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, actually, and get people to bring their animals along, maybe on the second day or something. So look out for that one. So can pets who have died, this is Nicola, hi Nicola, can pets who have died be your spirit animal? Okay, so this is where we have to define energy. So guides are generally a higher spiritual frequency of energy, whereas spirits aren't as high a frequency. So you'll find that a spirit animal can come to you for maybe a short period of time, and generally it's in that period of after, not long after death. It's look, it can be, depending on what your life is and what the purpose of your life is. Generally, if you're into spiritual growth and you're a healer and this is your strong focus, then you'll connect probably more with guides on this level, but you can still have your personal friend, animal friend, that's been with you in life, come to you as well, for maybe a shortish period of time. It just depends on, maybe you need nurturing, and maybe, your sadness is overwhelming, and the pets come back to kind of help you through that. So it can be a few different scenarios. So but definitely, yes, a pet can come back for shortish periods of time, but more so if you're really growing and you need a particular energy, you'll quite often draw in a specific energy of, say, a jaguar or an eagle or something like that. Hi, Graham Harrod. Interesting subjects covered tonight. Yes, I was a shaman in a previous life. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, look, it is a really interesting life. It's not for everyone, believe me, but I enjoy it. You tend to be, I used to be the lone wolf kind of thing. I like being around people, but I do tend to like my own space a lot. And so I'm not the sort of person that gets out on Facebook and tells you what I've been eating that night and give you photos of the meals I've had. I tend to keep to myself more so. So yeah, I guess I walk to a different drum beat. That's about the best way I can put it. But thanks for your support, Graham. Good to see you on board. And Fiona, absolutely fantastic idea. Yes, yeah. I'm serious about that. I'm going to put it together very soon. Particularly dogs, because cats have a tendency to want to do their own thing. That when they want something, they'll certainly speak up. Dogs can be a little bit different, and horses can be reasonably complex too. Because I work with a few clients with horses, and but they're actually easy. Horses, I find, are pretty easy to read. Most animals are fairly easy to read when you understand what's going on around them in their environment too, because that, of course, always has an effect on them. So Anna Quinn, great idea. Would love to do that on animal spirits. Yeah, definitely. And Christina's saying, agree, alone company is good. Yep, I know you're there, Christina. And Kathy, speaking of drums, looking forward to making a drum to use my healings. Yes. So it's 8 o'clock, and probably should talk about that a little bit just now. I've got level 1 coming up this weekend, but on the 19th of September, I've just put a new workshop up, and it's a drum making workshop. So I'm just going to quickly show you. I've got these drums next to me. This here is the size drum that I normally make, or we do in the workshops. So that's about 40 centimeters across. I've been doing a bigger drum, which is 50 centimeters across. Great for painting. So it's kind of about that difference in height. It's a little bit hard to see back here, but there you go. It's quite a big drum. But then the other day, I decided to make up a new frame. So I'm just going to bob down and get this one. So I've got a tiny one. So it's about 300 across, or 30 centimeters across. And yeah, so there it is. Whoops, back here. Yeah, so it's quite a nice little size, high pitched, obviously. The bigger ones are a deeper pitch. So yeah, I think I'm going to give people the choice to do. Normally, I give people the choice to do a larger 50 centimeter, the 40 centimeter, and the, I think it's 30 centimeters. So there'll be the choice to do either one. So, so Rhiannon is asking, what does the visitation of a shadow animal guide mean? Not too sure. So, as in just a shadow of an animal, that could more so be a spirit, so an animal in spirit. Maybe not a guide. Generally, a guide will, an animal guide will show itself fairly clearly, or you'll get a fairly obvious sense of it in your third eye vision. But if you're seeing a shadow, like a shadow of someone walking in your house, which is generally a spirit, then a lower vibrational spirit, then this could be an animal that you've, maybe one of your animals that you've had in the past, or it could be a spirit of an animal that's just connected with you for some reason. So it's a bit hard to say sort of over right here and now. I mean, we can always, if you wanted to go that far and wanted to bother finding more about that, we can do a session about it. So do a reading, or I can connect with the animal and find out exactly why it's there. And oh, thanks, Shana. Yeah, the drums they seem to be something I'm really enjoying making at the moment. I've got a few more drums that I've got on the back burner that I want to make a Siberian Shaman drum, which has tension adjustment in it, which is you just don't see. And it's not going to be a cheap drum, but it'll be an amazing drum to be able to tension it up when it's maybe a bit moist. There's a lot of moisture in the air and the drum goes a bit saggy, but then you can loosen it off when it gets dry and hot. So you can regulate the sound basically. So you're going to be there. Good, Paul. Great to see you at the workshop then. All right, guys, look, it's 10 past. Thanks very much for being a part of tonight. Really loved your questions, and it always makes for interesting conversation. If you have any questions, if you'd like to do any sessions, any readings, please give me a yell on 0410658797. It's just come up on the screen. Yeah, well, I'll talk to you at some point. So you have a nice, safe few days and weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.